Hello and welcome to the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve in Portimao, Portugal. This 4.592 kilometre long circuit is located over 250 kilometres south of Portugal's capital, Lisbon, and is just a stone's throw from the ultimate picturesque Algarve. There's more to Portimao than just a prime location. Its 14 corners always throw up some absolutely astounding racing with a combination of tight and technical corners, long sweepers, elevation changes, and a great run down onto the home straight today. It plays host to the FIMC v Repsol, where we have witnessed 4 races. We will bear witness to the final race of the day. My name is Harry Lloyd, and joining me in the commentary box today is MotoGP.com news editor Fran Wild. Now it's time for the last race of the day, the second Moto2 European Championship race, and one where we could see our first SEV champion of 2016. It is Stephen Odendaal who has it all on the line to do. Now, Stephen Odendaal enters this race with 161 points, which puts him 51 points clear of Nagashima and 52 points clear of Alan Tesher. We have races in both Jerez and Valencia, but as the Moto2 class only have one race each there, as long as he leaves with 50 points, he will be the 2016 Moto2 European Champion. He'll be the first South African to ever take that honour. And it's looking pretty good. There's a lot of quite complicated math for this particular championship. But basically, if Nagashima were to win, then Odendaal would have to finish, I believe it is only in 25 points, would make that 130 for Nagashima. So that means that Odendaal would have to score, this is some on-the-fly math here, people, 170, sorry. So if Nagashima wins this race, then Odendaal needs to finish 7th or higher. So if Odendaal finishes 7th or higher in this race, regardless of what the other people do, then he will be the 2016 Moto2 European Champion. And I should point out that Stephen Odendaal has only once finished off the podium this year, and that was when he had tyre issues in Barcelona. So as long as his tyres stay good and true, as long as this Dunlop rubber does not let him down, then he will be the champion. But this man here, he could do it. He's moved to second in the championship thanks to a thrilling ride to second in the first race. Can Nagashima now do it? Can he stand between Stephen Odendaal and the championship? I spoke to Stephen Odendaal this morning. He said he didn't really know any of the math. All he knew was that if he finished first and second, he would be champion no matter what. And given his current form, I think that that's a very realistic thing for him to be aiming for. He has obviously won the first race. He's done 50% of the job. And now it is all about this. This is perhaps the most intense 17-lap race of Stephen Odendaal's life. But it is the pole man that we are looking at right now. Tsuka Nagashima, he has had a pole before. This is his second pole. As you can see there, he's really hit some form after a tough race in Valencia. He made a bit of a mistake in the final corner here, but it is all good. Looking forward to seeing what he can do in this race. I'm not quite sure what that is. It looks like some sort of grip tape. But, you know, all of these guys and girls have had a chance to make some adjustment setting changes between races. So we'll have to see what that will hold now for race 2. Bit of a stop. Unfortunately, it does look like Jason Uribe, Stephen Odendaal's teammate, did hurt himself in that crash that he had in the first race. So good to see Odendaal there. You know, even with a championship potentially on the line, he's still thinking about his teammate. Jason Uribe is American, and as Odendaal is South African, they do get on quite well, both being English speakers in a very Spanish-orientated world that is the SEV. So we will hopefully find out some updates about Jason Uribe a bit later on. We are a bit isolated in the commentary position here, so apologies for not being able to bring you any sooner updates. But we will bring you the rest of the grid, as it is Alan Tesher who will round out the front row of the grid. He did come into this weekend as Odendaal's closest title rival, but thanks to some absolutely excellent riding by Nagashima, Tesha is now third in the championship, 104 points. He's only 1 point behind Nagashima. So the battle for second is still very much on. And yet again, he could also play a role in this race. If he can win the race and Nagashima can finish second and then Odendahl doesn't finish in 9th place, I believe it was, then it will all be, sorry, in 7th place, then I believe that it could get very, very exciting. So once again, it is Stephen Odendahl who is on the cusp of a potential championship. He just needs to finish in 7th or higher. As we said, he has not stepped off the podium once this year when everything has gone his way. Obviously, technical issues did prevent him just once. And here is another man who could potentially be in the mix to get involved in that fight. Augusto Fernandez, 18 years old, his first time in this championship, and he's been doing great. So many 4th places. He's had the potential to finish 3rd, but it's just those last couple of laps where he just doesn't quite have the same place, the same pace as those leaders. But you know, he's still learning. He came up through the stock 600 route with the World Superbike guys. So he'll definitely be a name to watch. Also some nice hair there for him. So if he doesn't win the race, he can at least have the best hair award out of those front 4 riders. So a bit of a special one there. I'll deliver him his trophy after the weekend. Here is another man who has World Championship experience. It is Eric Granado, the Brazilian, 5th on the grid, finished in 6th. Not the best weekend for him. I was expecting a bit more from him, not only this weekend, but this whole year. You know, he just hasn't really had the pace when it mattered most, but he has been doing very, very well, and hopefully he can mix it up there for the podium as well, because he won the first race of the year, so we all thought that he was going to be right in title contention. But no, he has struggled a bit. A couple of crashes have left him out of contention. And behind him on the grid will be the number 22, the Italian Federico Fellini. He dropped down the order in race 1, but that's because he's back after 3 months absence due to a back injury. So 14 points considering that he's missed 5 races in this hyper-competitive class. Just very, very, very respectable for the Italians, trying to stay nice and focused there. There we see one of the team members telling us that he's going to keep rolling and just keep working on it. Federico Fellini, not directly associated with the VR46 Academy, but does do a fair bit of training with them and does hang out with a lot of those guys, so definitely has some good friends in motorcycle racing. There we can see all the grid there just waiting. There are a fair few riders out on the grid today, 26 riders on the original grid. This is a mix of 2 classes, as we also have a stock 600 class, but here is a man in the Moto2 class, is Samuel Cavalieri, the Italian team Stylo bike, running under the Petronas umbrella as well. He got his 4th top 10 of the year in that first race that we just had, so an excellent result for him. Hopefully he can do it all again next time out. There we have someone in a very stylish shirt and very stylish sunglasses holding his umbrella for him. Maybe we'll just turn this grid walking into a bit of a fashion walk. That could be fun as well. But we will soon get to racing. As you can see, the grid is starting to clear. Everyone is getting ready for the final battle of the day and the potential championship decider. Stephen Odendahl, can he do it? He was so close, you know, in all the other years he was always best of the rest, and now he's really taken a huge step in his riding and he's been a class above. But so much can happen. Dimasek, he made an incredible start. He was up into 3rd into the first corner from 8th place here, and then scored his season best finish of 5th. So nothing to shake your head about there at Dimasek, and a great result for Indonesia. Hopefully he'll make it onto the world stage at some point soon as well. Huge interest from Indonesia, Malaysia and the like in motorcycle racing, especially in the lightweight classes. Not that Moto2 is super lightweight, as they are 600cc bikes. A Moto2 bike is obviously a prototype frame, but with a production-based engine, a tuned CBR 600. Here is another guy who's really, really strong at the start of the race, but didn't have the pace towards the end. Iko Lequina, really good. I also really like his helmet because he wears a shark brand helmet, and then look, it's a shark design as well. How clever is that? Very good from the youngster. He's not only creative and a bit funny with his livery choices, but he's also very, very quick. Just needs to save his tyres a bit more and work on the consistency overall, but I'm sure that he will get there. In the end, as we say, he is just at the start of his fledgling career. Here is another man, Ramdan Rosley, 10th on the grid. Not too bad for him. Didn't have the, he had an okay race, 9th. He crashes a fair bit, unfortunately missed the Catalunya races due to an injury, so that's why his points aren't quite up there. But, you know, now that he is back from injury, he does seem to be doing quite well. A Malaysian rider in Italian leathers. Verkos are an Italian brand, to the best of my knowledge. So always good to note the little details like the leathers. And here we have Max Enderlein, another one who's been doing really, really well recently. 11th on the grid, did eventually finish in 12th. So not too far off his best race finish of 9th in that Catalan GP there. Another one to watch for this race, number 32. Of course, all of the number plates are standardised in this class. It is a black number on a yellow background. It makes it nice and easy to see, which is very good for us commentators. There is number 46, Marcel Brenner on the Team Nobby H43 Taliso bike. The frame is an H43. It's a tubular steel chassis, so quite different to the usual twin aluminium spar bikes that you get with Kalex and Suda. And here we go, down through the grid. Once more it is Tetsuka Nagashima, who starts from pole position ahead of Stephen Odendahl, Alan Tesha in 3rd, Augusto Fernandez in 4th, Granado 5th, Fellini in 6th, Samuel Cavalieri. Watch out for Demus Ekine, it's a great starter. Then Ika Lequina in 9th place, rounding out that 3rd row. Then Ramdan Rosley begins row 4 ahead of Max Enderlein, Marcel Brenner, Gabriel Ruhu. Jason Uribe won't be starting this race. Xavi Cardalus is 15th, Thomas Sigvartsen 16th, David Sanchez 17th, 18th for Senna Yamada. Ivo Peixoto there in 19th ahead of Rafid Topan. It's a Sipto, the Indonesian rider on the stock 600 bike. Guillermo Raymond, Roman Fischer, Thibaut Gorin, Miguel Poyatas, Lucas Tovolik, and Pontus Durland round out the 26 rider field. It will, of course, only be 25 riders, as we have found out that Jason Uribe unfortunately won't be starting this race. Here we go on the warm-up lap. The last chance to assess the track conditions. It has continued to get hotter and hotter here in Portimao. So expect some slipping, expect some sliding, and expect some great action. Who is your money on for this second Moto2 race, Ren?
I think my money is on Odendahl.
I think your money's on Odendahl. I think that could be a very, very safe bet. He has been so incredibly strong. We know that he likes it a bit sideways. He's not too worried when it gets a bit hot. But there could also be that, you know, he does have that championship to think about. It's now much more real than it was in that first race. Maybe he will just settle for second. You know, he said that Nagashima pushed him really hard, and there's no point in him crashing and having to wait till Jerez to do it all again. And it's all about staying calm. You know, this is the first time that Odendahl has really pushed for a Moto2 title. He was always able to pretty consistently finish on the podium before, but this is his first time as a title contender in this class. He did achieve a huge amount of success in South Africa in various super sport races there. You know, race with guys like Brad Binder. But now it is all about him. You know, the visor is down, when the lights go out, it is all him. There's no one else to assist him, no one else to talk to, no one else to give him advice. The only communication he has with the outside world is his pit board, so it's down to him to make the strategy. And then what will Nagashima do? Can Nagashima produce another great ride to push for victory once more? Or will the ever-rising temperatures, will they play him foul?
I think Nagashima and Tesha are just going to have to go for broke in this one. Just obviously try and get a 1-2 at the front of the race and hope someone or something can get in Odendaal's way. But I imagine for them, the strategy normally to go for one victory is going to be different to what they're going to have to do today, where they're just going to have to really pedal to the metal.
Lewis, we're very excited team owner. Here's his fingers crossed for Odendaal. So do we. The red flag goes away, the lights will go on, and then when they go out racing, we'll be underway. 17 laps around this Portimao circuit. A huge jump start from Federico Fellini. He'll get a ride through for sure, but it was a great start from Stephen Odendaal. Hopefully no one else got affected by Fellini's start. That can be a bit of a problem. And it looks like it is Stephen Odendaal who is second. Obviously, it's Federico Fellini leading because he left when I think the race in Albacete had finished. That was a pretty impressive jump start, but you know, you just have to go for it. He's going to have to do a ride through. He might as well push hard now. Nagashima into second. It looks like it's Augusto Fernandez in third with Alan Tesher just behind in what will become fourth when Federico Fellini does do his ride through.
Yeah, that was quite a Lorenzo-esque jump start there. There's a few postcodes ahead of the field.
I don't think Lorenzo likes to be reminded of that infamous race in Austin, but there we go. To be fair to Fellini, he is having quite a good first lap, so hopefully he can keep that speed up when he does eventually rejoin. Solid start from Ramdan Rosley as well, just behind his pseudo teammates Samuel Cavalieri, who are both in turn just behind Eric Granado. Not a bad ride at 2B behind. We have just gotten the tyre sheet, and once again, it is everyone on the same front and rear tyres. 42 degrees track temperature, 33 degrees air temperature, an absolute scorcher out there. It'll be a test of not only tyres, but also physical fitness. Right now, it does seem like Odendaal is having no issues out there in what is second place on track, but what will become first place. Aika Lukwona, again, really strong. It looks like Nagashima is holding on to Odendaal as well, but there we see Tesha. He's behind Dimas Eki down in, that's probably 5th or 6th place. Disastrous start from Alan Tesha there. I feel this could be any chance he had of keeping his championship hopes alive, now well and truly gone. But here we go, we come onto the start-finish straight for the first time. Of course, Federico Fellini, he can't come in now for his ride through. He has to wait and see his ride through given to him, or else he could get another penalty for coming through unnecessarily. But it is him who leads a third of a second ahead of Stephen Odendaal. Odendaal continuing to close him up with Nagashima behind, then Augusto Fernandez, then Aika Lukwona in 5th, Dimas Eki up to 6th, Alan Tesha in 7th.
I mean, obviously it's better for him if he's got a ride through that he waits a while for the field to spread out a bit, so he might be filtering back out further up the points positions if that's possible. But it's certainly going to be interesting because obviously he knows what he's done, everyone knows what he's done, but he is in head of the race, so...
Exactly. Nagashima moves into second with a great move there. Stephen Odendaal gets battered back to 4th place as Augusto Fernandez comes through as well. That's not what Odendaal needs at all. Can Odendaal keep his cool, or will he try and push and respond? Here we come over that lovely, lovely crest. It is Federico Fellini who leads this race after a fantastic start. Clearly a bit too fantastic though, as I can't see that not being a jump start. We haven't had any official confirmation just yet, but to the naked eye, it did seem like quite a big jump start. As we have the rest of the field filtering through, it is Nagashima who leads Augusto Fernandez in what is provisionally 3rd, and Stephen Odendaal 4th, which would see him lift the title. Then behind him is Aika Lukwona. As we say, Odendaal 161 points at the start of this race. Nagashima 105. Odendaal just needs to leave with 50 points more than Nagashima. So that is not too hard for him to do. We will try and do the math throughout the race once Fellini has had his ride through. And there we go. Ride through rider number 22, due to jump start for Federico Fellini. No surprises there. Once he does go through, we will start to do the math, but it doesn't matter because Nagashima overtakes the lead of the race, and it looks like Odendaal took Augusto Fernandez down the straight as well. So even with a bit of an advantage, Federico Fellini didn't have the pace of these boys. But he could still cause a problem for the likes of Odendaal. You know, if they were to come together, then that would be an absolute disaster for Odendaal, and it would be a real shame because this is a race that, no offence to Federico Fellini, but he has no right being this far up front after that jump start. Huge sideways slide there for Stephen Odendaal, but with Odendaal we know that that's exactly how he likes it, so no worries there. Augusto Fernandez continues to be hot on his tail. Meanwhile, it's Ika Lequona just behind there, then Dean Bisecki a bit further back, then Alan Tesher. He's well and truly out of this podium battle right now. Eric Granado, another disappointing start to the race for him in 8th. Samuel Cavalieri in 9th. Ramdan Rosley in 10th. Not too bad from him at all. Here we have Odendale up the inside of Federico Fellini. I hope Fellini doesn't try and attack back. That would be very, very irresponsible of him. Meanwhile, Augusto Fernandez looks for a way through on the Italian, and he does get through. Augusto Fernandez can't quite make it a 2-in-1. Oh, big moment there for Augusto Fernandez. Huge wobbles on his Tech 3 machine. Manages to keep it upright, loses a bit of ground to Odendale, but does stay still ahead of Fellini. And there you can see official confirmation on your screens. Rider number 22, jump start, ride through penalty. Nagashima is scoring away at the front of this race. Odendale's going to have to pick up the pace if he wants to go out as champion with victory, but finishing second is more than enough to cement himself as the first ever South African Moto2 champion. Federico Fellini hasn't gone in through his ride through just yet. Maybe it'll be the next lap. Of course, if he doesn't come in, he will eventually get red flagged, which is no good at all. Ika Lequona, he does move up into 3rd place. It does look like Augusto Fernandez has dropped back after that quite serious moment. So it is young Ika who could potentially be on for his first ever podium, but there is still a long way to go. 14 laps still to go of this 17-lap race. It does look like Fellini is sitting up. Either he's had a problem or he is just letting everyone past, as he will eventually go through for his ride through. 1.1 seconds was the gap in between Odendale and Nagashima when they crossed the line. Has Odendale managed to make up some inroads on this lap? He had a pretty crazy start to the race with Fellini involved there. But now we have settled into the more usual, the more suspected rhythm, as we do have these 2 young up-and-comers fighting for 3rd. But can Alan Tesher's consistency, can that help him? Or will it be Demas Eki? He's currently 6th. Could he have the pace over race distance to maybe get on the podium for the first time? Of course, not only would it be a first championship for South Africa, it could also be a first Moto2 race win for Nagashima, should he keep up this pace and keep this gap up. As it stands right now, Stephen Odendale would collect 20 points for second and would therefore leave this race with 181, whereas Nagashima would get 25 and therefore leave with 130. So he could be champion, Stephen Odendale, as he would have a 51-point lead over Nagashima were the race to end like this. We're going to have to watch and wait. Looks like there is some information there for oh no, that was just the lap count there, sorry, my bad. Here we see Alan Tesher move past Dean Bisecki. He's on a bit of a charge. As we said, Alan Tesher, one of the more experienced riders in the field there. So a good ride from him. Slowly making his way back up. Here we see Fellini doing his ride through. Will he just retire? No, it looks like he is going to go back out there. He does need all the bike fitness he can get. And here we have that very substantial jump start from him. At least he kept the gas on, you know. When you've jumped it that far, you might as well keep the gas on and just ride, because shutting it off again is only going to do you more harm. And he does join his 17th spot, that looks like to me. So sorry, that's much further down. He entered the pits in 17th spot. So he's going to have some work to do if he wants to score any points. But, you know, coming back from injury, it's all going to be about getting comfortable on the bike and getting bike fit again. Stephen Odendale, look at that, he's closing him down. He's working hard. Meanwhile, Ika and Augusto are battling there for 3rd. The 2 young up-and-comers, can either of them get a debut podium, or will it be Alan Tesher who's once again in 3rd place? Nagashima controlling the race from the front, has a bit more of a gap than he had in the first race. Bit of a twitch there, but no worries otherwise. Odendale now right with him, continuing to close him down. As we said, it was 1 second the last lap. It does look like the gap has visually closed between the Japanese rider and the South African in this Moto2 European Championship. The third last round and the third last race of the year. Odendale now 0.3 behind him. Can Odendale go out on top and do the double as well as claim the championship? behind him. Iker Lecuona and Augusto Fernandez. Great battle here. It's Kalex versus Tech 3. It is Augusto Fernandez on the Tech 3 bike. That slightly more rounded machine there with the number 37 plastered on the front. The Targo Bank team works closely with the Targo Bank BMW team. This is their Moto2 effort. Meanwhile, Iker Lecuona is there on the... What bike is he on? He is on the Race Experience bike. Sorry, had a bit of a mind fade there. That Race Experience bike does have linked to the Intervetten / Garage Plus expert team in the Moto2 World Championship that does run the likes of Tom Luthi and Dominic Aegerter. With Aegerter injured, maybe Iker Lecuona could net himself a replacement ride in Silverstone if he does well here. Who knows? Anything is on the cards. Meanwhile, a great battle for first and a great battle for third continue to rage. Equal gaps between the two of them. Between the two battles, the two riders in the two battles. Or Fernandez he gains up mid-corner, but can he keep that? Oh, he's really, really moving down that downhill section. That's where we saw him have the big moment at the start of the race. But no such moments now. Meanwhile, Stephen Odendahl, cool, calm and collected. What can he do? Second place would be enough. But does his natural racer instinct take over? Will he try and attack? Will he try and go for victory?
I think situations like this are always difficult to judge because he's got such a margin at the top of the championship that he knows in his mind he can afford a mistake. So maybe maybe he does want the victory bad enough to take that risk, or maybe not.
He's definitely closing up on Nagashima there, so it looks like he does smell a bit of blood in the water. As these two continue to circulate together, this is now almost a carbon copy of the first race. This is what we saw between the leading two. Meanwhile, the guys behind just unable to match the pace. Odendahl is right with him now. Blue flag being waved there, not sure who's ahead. Could be one of these stock 600 bikes. Alan Tesha continuing to close in on this battle for third place here. We could very well have a nice three-way fight for third, which would be the icing on the cake to an excellent, excellent weekend of CEV action here. As we always say, the CEV, oh, there is a crash. That looks to be Guillaume Ramond, the French rider, number 4 on the FTR. He's walking away though, so all okay. But unfortunate that his race weekend has come to a bit of a premature end. But good to see that he is all up and okay. So there we see Nagashima and Odendahl continuing to just dance with each other. Meanwhile, Iker Lecuona continues to hold off Augusto Fernandez. Out of those two, it does seem like Augusto Fernandez has a bit more consistency, has had a bit more pace over the course of this championship, but there's no doubting either of their talent. You know, you don't beat someone like Alan Tesha, like Eric Granado, without having at least a little bit of talent in you. 10 laps to go when they cross the line. This race is still far from over. Is Odendahl going to try and make a move? It looks like he has a good run onto the line. They're almost neck and neck as they cross the line. A tenth of a second splits the two. No, Odendahl doesn't do anything into turn one. Tries to keep his powder dry. As you said before, no point risking anything. Eric Granado now ahead of Dimas Eki. Dimas Eki starting to drop back, but still really good to see him battling inside the top 10. Cavalieri also starting to gain on these two. So we could soon have a three-way fight for 6th place as well. So it's all action throughout the field here. And it is those top 8 rather, who do have a pretty sizable lead. All of those top 8 guys within 6 seconds of the leader, but then Ramdan Rosley in 9th. He's 14, almost 15 seconds back on Nagashima. So there is quite a distinct two-tier of riders here. Eric Granado, once again, just a bit of a disappointing result from him. Really expected to see him challenging for the podium this weekend, but unfortunately not the Brazilian doing the best he can. A 6th place finish is still by no means bad. Number 51 chased by number 20 and number 76. Brazilian, Indonesian and Italian, a beautiful mix of riders and nationalities here in the CEV Moto2 European Championship. In the stock 600 class, we do have Rafa Topan in 15th place. He is leading that Stock 600 race, the rider from Indonesia. But Ivo Miguel Peixo Lopez is right behind him, the local lad. Pretty spread out in between this battle for 6th place now. Looks like those three are starting to settle more or less into their rhythm, but at the front it is all excitement. It looks like Ike Locoino there at the back of your picture, the number 7. He has dropped back now behind Alan Tesher, but it is still Stephen Ondale and Nagashima who are fighting at the front. Alan Tesher, there he is, now up to 4th place ahead of Ika. Look how close Ondale is to Nagashima there. Beautiful racing between these two, huge respect between the two riders, which does allow them to just get wonderfully close and to really push each other's limits. 45 versus 44. Look how sideways Stephen Ondale is to that corner as compared to Nagashima. Nagashima getting his leg out and keeping the bike much more in line, whereas Stephen Ondale really drifting it out to the side. It is currently a Calex 1-2, as we do have a Tech 3 machine in 3rd with an NTS machine in 4th. Alan Tesher on that Japanese-built bike. But Calex not only dominating the World Championship, also dominating this championship. Look at that, incredibly tight lap times, under a 10th separating them. Ondale right with him now. Surely he's going to try something at some point in this lap, maybe onto the straight, maybe save it for when it's nice and safe, for when you don't have to risk braking too late or getting on the gas too early. South African watching and waiting, as we say. If the race were to finish like this, if the flag were to come out and it were to be past 10 laps, because that's 2/3 race distance, if the race were to finish like this, Stephen Ondale would be your 2016 Moto2 European champion. But right now, there is still 9 laps to go, so it is still all up in the air. What will happen, we don't know. Stephen Ondale, he makes his move. He is ahead as they begin the run to the straight, but will Nagashima have better drive with a slightly wider line, or was that a bit of a mistake from Nagashima to run wide? It is Stephen Ondale who will certainly lead across the line. There is Team Watch, tenths. Ondale already opening up a couple of bike lengths over Nagashima. 2 tenths over the Japanese rider. Raul Fernandez almost 2 seconds back on them. Alan Tesher 6 tenths further back on Fernandez. Tesher now well and truly out of this title battle. He and Nagashima, they'll still have a great battle for second in this championship, but unless Nagashima can get back ahead of Stephen Ondale, then it is game over for their championship hopes. David Sanchez has pulled into the pits. Unfortunate for him, here we see the overtake. Could this be the race-winning overtake? Could this be the championship-winning overtake? Stephen Ondale sliding effortlessly into 1st place. And it looks like he's now just continuing to open up the gap to Nagashima. Nagashima trying to stay within half a second of the South African. Look at that lap time difference, 0.4 of a second between the two. It looks like that gap is definitely opening up now. Nagashima, 8 laps to go. Can he rally in those last few laps? Can he save his tyres? Is this just a tactic? Is he just watching and waiting for Stephen Ondale to burn off his tyres? Meanwhile, the battle for 3rd continues to rage. Augusto Fernandez, he could be on track for his first podium, or will it be Alan Tesher? The wise head on relatively young shoulders. Can he get back on the podium and try and keep himself in the battle for 2nd place in this championship? It's great to see some bikes other than Calex's really mixing it towards the front and, you know, capable of running the pace to challenge for podiums. We've gotten so used to nothing but Calex is winning in the Moto2 Championship. It's great to see as the NTS moves ahead of the Tech 3 to take 3rd place. Alan Tesher is back up onto the podium. Can he keep his pace up? Tesher's last lap, that was a 1:47.9. That was 0.2 slower than Stephen Ondale. So Tesher's going to have to really pick up the pace if he wants to close them back in. It looks like Nagashima, he also said Nagashima was the fastest. Sorry, Nagashima was much slower on that last lap. I was looking at the wrong column, my bad. It was Stephen Ondale who did a 1:48.46 that last lap. Nagashima did a 1:48.7 that last lap, so he was 0.3, but it does look like he has now made up some space. Nagashima really strong through that opening sector. Then Alan Tesher, he did a 1:48.0, so he was quite faster than Ondale, but 0.4 half a second. Oh, it's going to be tough. He'd have to keep doing those laps for the rest of them. I'm not sure if he has that sort of pace. But we will just have to wait and find out. maybe Alan Tesher has played a blinder. Of course, if Stephen Oendal is second, he will still be the 2016 champion. But right now, Oendal is looking quite comfortable in the lead. Augusto Fernandez, really, really good for him to just have another fourth place. You know, there's no shame in being a rookie and getting that many fourth places, especially when the three guys ahead of you are now in their second, third, or even fourth years in this championship, and many of them have been racing Moto2 for a fair bit longer. Many of them have been racing Grand Prix. All three of those riders, potentially now on the podium, have raced in Grand Prix at some time. Both Oendal and Nagashima have done full seasons in Moto2. Nagashima had a bit of an injury hit season. When Alan Tesher, he used to compete in the Moto3 World Championship. It looks like Tesher is gaining on them. We could have a three-way battle for victory here. 6 laps to go, lap 12 of 17. Stephen Oendal continues to just focus on himself, focus on the road ahead. Meanwhile, Tesher is absolutely flying. He's now right with Nagashima. Tesher set his personal best lap of the race that last lap, a 147.8, whereas everyone else was in the 149s ahead of him. Look at him go. 1.2 seconds quicker. Here comes Tesher. He slides up the inside. The number 89 gets ahead of number 45, albeit briefly. Nagashima gets the cutback. Can Tesher do it again? He does. He dives for the inside once more to try and retake second. But then Nagashima comes right back at him. There's no tactics here. They're just going for the best position they can. No dreams about trying to catch Oendal as Tesher slides it back up the inside. A great and clean move there from the French rider. Now the question is, will Nagashima settle in? Can he be dragged along to battle with Oendal for the lead? Will Oendal respond to these impressive lap times from Tesher? It looks like Nagashima is still fighting with Tesher. Meanwhile, this has given Augusto Fernandez a chance to also close up. He's now within touching distance, able to learn from where these guys break, where these guys tip in. Nice tight battle there for second place, as we say. It is still Stephen Oendal who does lead this race. It does look like Alan Tesher has the pace late in the race. We will check lap times when they come across the line now. As they do begin, they round the final corner and begin to work onto the long start-finish straight. It is all about this drag to the line and then breaking into turn one. You can make up so much ground when you break into turn one. Oendal just has a quick look at his pit board as he comes onto the straight. Nagashima tries to go up the inside of Alan Tesher. He slams it up the inside and he gets it, but Tesher gets the cut back and then forces Nagashima to stand up. But then Nagashima gets it again. Oh, a bit sideways from Nagashima as he tries to get it stopped. That's not going to help you in your battle for second. Remember that those two riders now are also fighting for second in the championship, and with only 1 point separating them in the overall standings, whoever comes out ahead in this race will be in provisional second place. Of course, since their battle is so tight, it will likely continue onto Jerez and then Valencia at the end of the year. Nagashima seems to rally. That last lap, 148.9 from Oendal, 148.6 from Tesher, 0.4 of a second. If Tesher can keep it up, he could lead this race in 2 laps. Nagashima, 149.2. He's going to have to be careful. Augusto Fernandez to 148.4. So there's still all to play for in this race. 5 laps left. It's all close. This is what we like to see. 3 riders at the top of their game, all within the same picture shot. Then Augusto Fernandez there, just slightly off the back, but ready to attack. Ready to pick up the pieces if need be. Will Nagashima and Tesher, will they work together to try and stop Oendal, force him to wait? Or will they mess each other up, and will they allow Oendal to lift the championship? So a quick math update as we go here. 104, that would bring him to 124. So as the race is now, if it were to finish, then Stephen Oendal would still be the champion, as he would leave here with a 57-point lead over Alan Tesher. But just as I've done that math, it is Nagashima who comes back ahead of the Frenchman. So it is now still Stephen Oendal who does lead. Stephen Oendal provisionally on track for 186 points if he can win this race. Right now, Nagashima would have 125 if he finishes in second. So that would be a significant gap and therefore it would be more than the 50 points that we need, or that, not we need, that Odendal needs. I have nothing to do with Odendal's championship. I'm just a happy observer. It looks like Nagashima has rallied and is now holding off the likes of Tesha.
Yeah, the gap seems to keep fluctuating quite a lot, and in parts of the track it seems like they've really caught Odendal, and then in other parts they seem even more seconds behind. But they do, I think they need to be careful they don't get in each other's way too much, because they certainly lost the first chunk of time they really lost was when they were battling each other rather than focusing forward.
Exactly, and right now, Odendal could, if the race, as we say, were to finish like this, Odendal would have a 61-point lead, more than enough to wrap up this championship. But as I say that, it does look like those two are beginning to close in on the South African. Nagashima, after a couple of wild laps, he does now seem to be back in the zone, back focused, back pushing hard. He has kept Alan Tesha at bay for this lap. Tesha with a wider line is going to have a great run on the start-finish straight, no doubt. Alan Tesha, big move. Can he do it up the inside? Legs out. Oh, they're both in very, very hot. Are they going to get it stopped? They do somehow manage to get it stopped. Incredible from those two to get it stopped. They were both brake checking each other, but it is Alan Tesha now provisionally in second place. They really need to stop Odendal winning, because otherwise this is his championship. So Nagashima really just needs to let Alan Tesha push and push and push and try and get them both ahead of Stephen Odendal.
Definitely. I think they need to make a decision on who is the quickest
Yeah.
and push forward. But obviously that's a lot easier to do when you're watching it from a commentary booth rather than when you're one of the people involved.
Exactly. I'm sure that all three of those guys at the front are now pushing as hard as they can, as is everyone out on track. Federico Fellini, after his ride through, he's in the 20th spot. So still a while away from the points. It is local lad Ivo Miguel Lopez who has managed to push ahead and currently provisionally leads the stock 600 race there. So that could be another great result for the Portuguese rider. But right now we are focused on this battle at the front, the battle that could easily define the championship. Stephen Odendal, nice and steady. No doubt his heart rate is starting to pick up as he gets closer and closer to crossing the line. This is the third last lap that we're about to begin the penultimate lap. Under 10 kilometres separate Stephen Odendal from his first potential title in this incredible series. And what a year it has been for the South African. But it's not over till it's over. Alan Tesha and Nagashima, they're both racing hard against each other. Could they close in on Stephen Odendal? He has a 0.7 advantage. That's pretty sizable. But tyres can go in an instant here. There could be something, you know, we could have a puncture or something like that, which could easily throw this championship on its head. Alan Tesha, what can he do? He has 2 laps to do it. There we see Federico Fellini just making sure that he's not messing up anyone. I'm not sure why he's getting out of the way of number 67, as he has now just conceded a position that he perhaps didn't need to concede. But anyway, I'm sure that, as we said, you know, he's coming back from injury, so it is all about just getting fit and finding out what he needs to improve. Here we go, Stephen Odendal. Still in control. Has Alan Tesha closed up anything? Nagashima, he's still clinging on to third place. We're all in the same camera shot. The gap seems equal between the three. What will happen in this final lap and a half? 0.7 the gap was at the start of this lap. We do only have a timing along the start-finish straight, unfortunately, so we don't have sector-by-sector timing, but it has visually closed up. It looks like Federico Fellini has retired from the race. He's just taking his bike to where they park for technical inspection there, so clearly not worth him pushing himself, having jumped the start. It's a bit disappointing for the Italian. Was expecting a fair bit, but obviously he's still not fully fit. Here we go. Last lap is about to begin. Stephen Odendal is in the lead with Alan Tesha behind him. If it stays like this, Stephen Odendal will be champion. Under 5 kilometres separate him from glory. but he has to stay focused now. There's only 13 corners, but a mistake at any of them could be hugely costly. He gets the bike sideways. Alan Tesher is right with him. Look how close Tesher is. Tesher is going to give it everything he can to take his first ever Moto2 CEV Repsol victory. Can he do it, or will Stephen Odendaal collect the title in style with a double? They're right close, neck and neck. Alan Tesher there, it looks like on the brakes. Tesher's very, very strong, but Stephen Odendaal, who'll be taking some defensive lines here. No point opening up any gap to let the Frenchman through. Incredibly intense moment. No doubt the pits are electric right now down for Stephen Odendaal. His friends and family and team gathered there. This team have stuck with him. They were with him last year. And it is Alan Tesher who moves into the lead of this race. Can Stephen Odendaal respond, or will Stephen Odendaal settle for second? He is still right with him. We only have a couple of corners left. What can Stephen Odendaal do? A whistle in the background, cheering on Stephen Odendaal. Can he do what he did to Nagashima and line it up down the run to the straight? Here we go, the penultimate corner. As we say, if the race finishes like this, Stephen Odendaal will be the champion, but it could potentially be Alan Tesher who takes the race victory, his potential first race victory, NTS's potential first race victory. It's all about this run to the line. Who will have the better drive? Stephen Odendaal plays it to perfection, it looks like. It's all about the drag. Who got the better drive? It is Stephen Odendaal takes victory and is your 2016 Moto2 European champion. What a great year from the South African. His team ecstatic there. The tears flowing thick and fast. A great year for Odendaal. A great result for him. A great race from Alan Tesher. We can't take away from Tesher too much. He put up an absolutely thrilling fight. He couldn't quite do it. The odds were against him when the weekend began. But there he is, the 2016 champion and double race winner, Stephen Odendaal. Take a bow, sir. You have done everything and more that was asked of you and have put together an incredibly consistent campaign. As we said, he will be wild-carding in the Moto2 World Championship, so he will have a chance to prove himself against all of the regulars. And no doubt, as the now Moto2 Sev champion, he will have a number of teams knocking at his door, begging him to sit on their bike next year. Congratulations from everyone for the champion. What a year it's been. Of course, we still do have 2 more races in this Moto2 class, so it will be how big he can extend that title lead. A great ride from Alan Tesher, you know. Odendaal has stolen a lot of the limelight, but it's well-deserved as he is the champion. But great ride from Tesher to come strong late in the race and to just attack, and give it all that he had. There he goes over to where Stephen Odendaal will be waiting. We can see the gold helmet prepared. There's a golden t-shirt. That's going to look pretty good on Stephen Odendaal. No doubt he'll be wearing that tonight. Really nice gesture from Alan Tesher as well to go congratulate the team. You know, he's a really, I don't want to say graceful in defeat because he was in second, and that is still an incredible result for him and for NTS. Then there's Nagashima in third. Solid result from him. He now does slide back down to third in the championship as a result, but be sure to tune in Jerez and Valencia as we get to see the continuing battle between Nagashima and Tesher for second in the championship. There is Stephen Odendaal, the South African flag and the South African lion on the back of that team shirt, on the back of that shirt worn by his team, and the golden helmet just waiting to be put on. No doubt that will go straight on the mantelpiece. There we go, over the leathers. He is the Moto2 European champion 2016. What a year it has been for Stephen Odendaal. Nice and simple for him there, just gold. The big number 1 on top is number 44 on the back, it looks like. The South African flag there as well. What a year for South Africa. Not only has Odendaal wrapped up the championship, but his great mate, Brad Binder, could also be on track to wrap up the title. We'll have to wait and see in the Moto3 World Championship. His team member now puts on, or tries to put on Odendaal's helmet. Has to get a bit of a helping hand. Are we going to get a burnout? We have to do a burnout, surely. Oh no, he's just having a bit of trouble getting the bike started. these bikes can be quite difficult to start, as you do have to bump start them. But it does. Has he got it going? Yep, he has got it going. Great for Stephen Odendal. I wouldn't recommend closing that visor as it does have quite a large sticker over it. But there he goes. Number 1 on the helmet. Number 44 on the plate. Stephen Odendal, thank you very much. And now he goes over to the marshals. They give him a helping hand. And what a burnout for him as well. Excellent result for the South African. A nicer man you could not meet. I believe that should say 2016, not 2015, unless we have time traveled. But he is your 2016 Moto2 European Championship. Once again, Stephen Odendal, take a bow. He himself admitted that he stepped up to the Moto2 World Championship a bit too early. He's come back to the SEV and he's gotten some great experience and will now no doubt be at the top of a number of team manager shopping lists. With Marcel Schrotter now moving to the Dynavolt Intact team, that does leave a seat in the AGR team potentially open. Maybe we will see Odendal stay with this team and move back up into the World Championship as he does finally make his way around to the pits. It's obviously he's taking it all in. It's going to be a big and emotional day for Odendal, the team, his girlfriend, his parents, everyone. You know, racers sacrifice so much to get here, and it's moments like these that make it all worth it. And he comes back into Parc Fermé for the first time as a champion. And there the team are waiting in their shirts as well. South African flag on the back. Hugs for everyone. What a year it has been for Stephen Odendal. And what a result. Big congratulations from Tesha as well. And here we have the race results overall. Of course, it was Stephen Odendal who did just nip Alan Tesha to the line to take his second victory of the day and also wrap up the title. Tetsuta Nagashima in third place ahead of Augusto Fernandez. He had another fourth for him. Ika Lecuona, great fifth place for him. Eric Granado in sixth, so a solid result from him in the end. Samuel Cavalieri in seventh. Demas Eki eighth. They had Ramdan Rosley in ninth, so good to see him crack the top 10 as well. Then Xavier Cardelus, he completed the top 10 in 10th. Marcel Branner in 11th. Thomas Sigvartsen, Miguel Poyatas in 13th place. Gabriel Ruhu in 14th. Ivo Peixo in 15th place. Thibaut Gorin in 16th. Max Enderlein, Pontus Durland completing your top 18. Then Lucas Tulovic and Roman Fischer in 20th, with Fellini, Sanchez, Sasipto, Raymond and Yamada not finishing the race. So an unfortunate end to the weekend for them, but what a day it has been of racing. We've had 5 absolutely fantastic races. We've had our first of potentially 6 champions crowned, as we do have the subclasses, and now we get to go talk to him, the race winner, the Moto2 European champion of 2016, Stephen Odendal.
So Stephen Odendal, congratulations, you've taken victory in the second race here and you've wrapped up the championship.
You know, it's such a special moment for me because I've worked so hard this year. And, you know, the team's just been amazing, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been behind me, you know. I didn't expect the victory, but Techa ran wide the same as Nagashima in the last corner, and I thought I would take it. But I just want to say a huge thanks to everyone that's behind me, especially Alex Soler, my main mechanic, and everyone that's been behind me. HJC, Dunro, Rainers, and also my family and my girlfriend, Denisa. Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Clearly meant a lot to him, and of course it would. You know, as he said and as I said, these riders do make so many sacrifices, but it was a thrilling race with Fellini getting that incredible start, very ambitious with the lights timing. He did have the lead, but of course his pace wouldn't last as we had the usual guys close up on him. Stephen Odendal, he made a solid start, you know, obviously very nervous race for him. with a lot on the line and a huge amount of emotion flowing through him, but it all came good in the end for the South African, as we can see here from the race highlights. He did get pushed around a bit, you know, he had to work for it, but in the end, it did all come good. Fellini unfortunately started to drop back, even with his impressive start. Nagashima and Odell were ahead of him and continuing to push on ahead. Fellini would eventually retire from the race, having just come back from injury. Then there was a battle between Nagashima, as we had seen in the first race, and Odell, and behind Ika Lekwona and Augusto Fernandez were going at it absolute hammer and tongs. Odell looked to be pretty comfortable at the start as his family, friends, and there we see girlfriend Denisa looking on very, very nervous, very, very understandable. Then Alan Tesher, he was a man on the move as he continued to close up the gap and just seemed to have the advantage at the end of the race. He quite quickly got past Nagashima. The two of them had a pretty good little battle. Meanwhile, Stephen Odell just focused on working his way to the front, and eventually it would come down to the drag line, as it did in the first race, with yet again the other rider making a mistake and gifting Stephen Odell the victory, and also a very well-deserved 2016 Moto2 European Championship. He follows in the likes of Jesco Raffin, Jordi Torres, Edgar Pons, as just a few of the names who have taken this illustrious title. And as we said, no doubt the world now does call once again for Stephen Odell, now that he has really, really grown as a rider and as a person. You know, he himself says that he's much more focused on racing now, and that I think that I cannot wait to see what he will do in Aragon, because I think that it is going to be an absolute excellent weekend for him. And of course, we do have Jerez on the 2nd of October, and then Valencia on the 20th of November still coming up, so be sure to join us for those races then. There we have it, lifting the Constructors' Trophy once again for him, the first time as the manager to a team that is a championship winning team. There we have Ivan Miguel Peixo Lopez, the local Portuguese rider, again taking victory in the stock 600 class. So good for the fans who came along to Portimao, good for them to have something to cheer about. A bit of local colour always helps. And now we have Nagashima collecting his 3rd place trophy, a good result for the Japanese rider. You know, still much like Tesher and Odell, is continuing to learn his craft, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we see him return to the World Championship next year. Alan Tesher, he tried his best, he did all he could, and as you can see there from the finger gesture, he was so, so close. Just a small mistake gave Odell the victory, and what a victory it was for Odell. But here we have Alan Tesher, he's getting the oversized fuel check for free fuel. So that's always a little bonus as well. Not too bad for Alan Tesher. Solid day at the office, double podium. All 4 of those guys, they have been on the podium before today. Obviously it is Odell who does now get to lift his first winner's trophy as a champion. And no doubt this will be the best trophy that he has ever lifted. And no doubt that this will be the best carver that he has ever drank once we eventually get there. Handshakes all around as we prepare for the South African national anthem, thanks to Stephen Odell. What a day, what a day. Stephen Odell fighting back the tears there, no doubt. And now he gets to spray the carver in just a little bit as champion. No doubt he'll try and make sure his new fancy helmet stays carver free. But there he is, getting the bulk of it, and well deserved for him, as he is the 2016 Moto2 European champion, getting absolutely soaked there. I was going to go up and give him a hug after this race, but I think I might just give him a handshake. And there we go, master tactician as ever. As always, Stephen Odendahl, master tactician, does save a bit of carver for everybody else. There he gives his team boss a bit of a sip. That's a pretty long sip there, making sure that that bottle is well and truly drained. And after this, we will, of course, have another podium just for Stephen Odendahl to celebrate his championship. But look at that gold helmet glistening there in the sun. It's been a beautiful day. We've had 5 fantastic races. We've had our first champion crowned. And do be sure to join us in Jerez and Valencia for the remaining races of the year. Moto2, that's set to be a barnstormer. Superbike, full of intrigue. And then there's also the subclasses of the privateers, stock 600 and stock Moto3. As they slowly walk away, Odendahl will get sent back out, I believe. That's a photo that's going to go up on a fair few mantelpieces, him and the team boss there. And now all of the team are set to come up to celebrate being champions this year. Great to see all of them. You know, all of these teams are so tight-knit. When you do travel around Spain together, you do really have to like the people you work with. And that AGR team is very, very close and very, very tight-knit. Bit of organisation going on there from the Dorna staff on the ground to get everyone sorted, get them all up on the podium. That doesn't look like the most comfortable stand for Stephen Odendahl there, but it doesn't matter. European champion 2016, Stephen Odendahl, part of the AGR team. What a year, what a year. There you can see it on his helmet. And then he gets the whole team. And maybe he'll be slightly less popular now.
Maybe a little bit. It depends, I think, on whether he saves some for them or not.
I'm sure that there will be a glass of carver or two had tonight within that team. You know, Stephen Odendahl is a professional athlete, but at times like this, you can't blame him for having a bit of a celebration. And here we go for the standings. No surprise, Stephen Odendahl, he is now mathematically untouchable and is the 2016 Moto2 European champion. Alan Tesh and Tetsuka Nagashima, they continue to fight for second. Eric Granado, he could maybe move up there. Augusto Fernandez, great from him. Ika Lecuona continues to just make improvements. Demas Eki there also doing very well. Thibaut Berton in 10th. Ricky Cardu's continuing to hold on to 11th. Gabriel Ruhu 12th. Remy Gardner 13th. Best wishes to Jason Uribe, who, as we said, was injured. Senna Yamada 15th. Federico Fellini in 16th. Thomas Sigvartsen there. Max Enderlein in 19th. David Sanchez in 20th. Marcel Brenner. Louis Rossi. Pontus Durland. Thomas Gradinger. Jacobo Cretaro. Miguel Poyotos. And Ivo Paixo, who we saw up there on the podium today. All of that can be found on the FIMCV Repsol website, so be sure to go along there if you have any other questions about what is happening in any of these championships, and be sure to go onto the FIMCV Repsol YouTube page where all of the races are there for your viewing pleasure. It has been an honour to bring you these 5 races, and as we said, we will next be in action on the 2nd of October in Jerez, so be sure to join us there. As you can see, it is coming up along the bottom of your screens. That is the penultimate round, and then we will go to Valencia for the last round of the year on the 20th of November, just after the MotoGP season finale there. In Jerez, we will have 2 Moto3 races, 1 Moto2 race, 2 Superbike races, and 2 Kawasaki Z Cup races. That's where they're all on the same bike, so that racing is always interesting. But especially Moto3 is going to be great. Superbike, that's going to be really interesting for the overall championship as well. So be sure to tune in for that one, because it can't be missed. And as we saw today, the racing is always great. There's always surprises, and there's always colourful characters to see. The stands are starting to empty. The day is over. And it has been absolutely fantastic here. Glad that the weather held up. We were a bit worried with the wind that maybe there would be some issues. But it doesn't look so. And I look forward to bringing you all of the FIM CV Repsol action the next time out in Jerez. And for now, that's all we have for you today, folks.
Goodbye.